Tonight, Lagos hints of possible third wave of COVID-19 pandemic as it scales up mitigation plan, including a 5-pillar strategy to combating the virus. Lingering dispute between Nigeria and the UAE over COVID-19 flight protocols takes toll on citizens who travel to Dubai for business and other purposes. The president calls for unity and solidarity among Nigerians to tackle insecurity as he felicitates with Muslims on the occasion of Eid-el-Fitr to mark the end of Ramadan. An exchange of fire between Palestinian militants and Israeli army sparked fears of a full-scale war. Plus, business, sports news from Abuja, and later international news from our London studio.
On business news tonight, federal government revenue from company income tax increases by 97 billion naira to 392 billion naira in the first quarter.
On sports news tonight, Liverpool FC defender Virgil van Dijk rules himself out of the Netherlands squad for next month's European Championships.
And from Abuja, petrol scarcity looms in Kaduna State as the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers orders its members to down tools from Sunday.
The possibility of a third wave of COVID-19 is knocking. And Lagos, the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic in Nigeria, is already preparing for eventualities after the Presidential Steering Committee on the pandemic released new guidelines a few days ago. A 5-pillar strategy is what the Lagos state government has put in place to mitigate the third wave of the pandemic. Health authorities have ordered that passengers coming from high-risk countries like India, Brazil and Turkey be isolated for 7 days in any of the state's isolation facilities.
Some countries in the world are currently experiencing the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. Countries such as India, Brazil and Turkey are struggling to manage the virus. In a bid to prevent the third wave of the pandemic in Lagos, the state government, through its Ministry of Health, is taking what it considers as drastic steps to mitigate the virus.
We are carrying out this strategy alongst 5 pillars. The first pillar is to make sure that we keep our testing high. So we are equipping the Lagos State Biobank with the capacity to do 2 types of PCR tests. The first type is just to pick up a positivity, and the second type is to try and help us characterize that virus and put it into either one of the strains that we know are circulating around the world. In addition, we're using eco-telemedicine and what we call the eco-telemed platform to manage people at home. Of course, the third pillar there is the standard hygiene principles and social distancing that we're all familiar with. The fourth pillar there is our oxygen strategy. We are ensuring that we have the capacity to make more and more oxygen in Lagos State. We have just installed 2 oxygen plants, and we're looking at a third and a fourth, just to make sure that should we go into a third wave, we will not be experiencing the scenes that we see on television in India, Brazil, and other countries. And finally, the vaccine strategy is important for us.
Professor Akin says Lagos has received additional 57,000 of the AstraZeneca vaccine from the federal government for the vaccination of more residents to keep them safe from the virus.
An additional consignment of 57,000 doses extra of AstraZeneca. So the ring vaccination strategy, when we get somebody that has turned positive, who has recently returned from abroad, and you have tested positive, then we will be deploying some of the vaccines to vaccinate members of their family, their immediate household, to stop the transmission of the virus from the traveler to family members or people that live in the same home or in the same immediate jurisdiction.
So far, 470,000 residents have been tested, with over 4,000 patients admitted, 3,906 discharged, and a death record of 354 COVID-19 patients in the state.
With the ongoing efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus in Nigeria, the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has given Nigerians the assurance that it will ensure that all vaccines used in the country pass through clinical trial. It's coming on the heels of strides being made in the country to produce alternative treatments locally. This was said during a visit by the NAFDAC team to Afe Babalola University in Ado-Ekiti to assess new herbal initiative to cure COVID-19. Our correspondent Babajide Agbayo reports.
A research team constituted by the Afe Babalola University in Ekiti State has been exploring plans to find a herbal cure for COVID-19. The 16-month research work, which has reached product development stage, has drawn the attention of the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, which has visited the school for its findings.
Nigeria, or Africa at large, has resources called plants. And these plants contain chemicals that are capable of curing COVID-19. And what I have explained there is to tell you the published papers, is to explain to you the data that support our claim. Those have been published and others have been shown during the course of the presentation.
NAFDAC is showing interest in this. The agency's Director General commends the approach to research adopted by the institution. She gives further assurance on the vaccines being administered in Nigeria.
What I've seen from these plants that they have now developed into what they are calling Virucidin. The name and everything may be changed by NAFDAC just to make sure that we know exactly what stage it is. But I see it as potential. But once all the data are gathered and submitted to us, we test in the lab, then we list it. However, the approach that Abuad is taking, the scientific approach, is what should be taken for all herbal medicines.
Hopefully, the outcome of this visit by NAFDAC may reveal the readiness of the country's medical and academic research institutions, less dependent on foreign supplies in tackling medical emergencies such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Babajide Agbayo, Channels Television News.
Outside Nigeria, citizens of the country who travel to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates for various legitimate reasons are forced to pay the price for the diplomatic row between Nigeria and the Emirates. A lingering dispute over COVID-19 flight protocols is resulting in collapse of businesses, payment of overstay fines, and all-round hardship for everyday citizens. Our Dubai correspondent Mayowa Adigoke captures the experiences of some Nigerians resident in the UAE.
Hundreds of Nigerians are bearing the brunt of suspended flights between Nigeria and the UAE, caused by dispute over COVID-19 flight protocols. Both governments were unable to agree amicably, putting more strain on bilateral relations, which have already been tested in recent times.
As I speak with you, under our company, we have over 67 individuals that have overstayed. And there is nothing we can do about it. How do you go about chasing 67 individuals? Now, I have staff that I need to process their visas. I cannot do that. I have staff whose visas have expired and I cannot cancel because I'm outside of the country. Also, even from my own personal side, my visa has expired also. So I need to now cancel my visa, through my sponsor and come in with a visit visa and get a fresh, a fresh residence visa.
Nigeria is opposed to a UAE-imposed antigens rapid test on travelers, although several other countries are required to do the same. And while Emirates Airline recently opened its portal to take Nigeria bookings from the 1st of June, the damage has already been done.
In a way, I think the government should sort this out ASAP so people can start their businesses, move on with their lives as well, because a lot of lives are on hold at the moment. People can't move around. People are stuck. I've got friends who are stuck in Nigeria. For example, I know a personal friend who had to fly all the way to Ethiopia to spend 2 weeks. So normally ticket will cost you about let's say 3,000 and some change, a full-fledged ticket from UAE to Nigeria, return ticket, to be honest. But my friend had to pay 7,000 dirhams to fly through Ethiopia because obviously they're taking advantage when the Emirates doesn't fly.
I have certain clients who actually come in on a regular basis for certain checkups, for certain healthcare needs, which I've already made recommendations for. Now with this, it has affected a whole lot of people. I even had clients who passed away as a result of this, not being able to fly in.
Nigeria is UAE's biggest aviation market, while the Emirates is a hub to attract foreign direct investment, which Nigeria desperately needs. One wonders why the situation lingers.
So I think the problem Nigeria and the UAE is having is dialogue, constructive dialogue, not sentimental dialogues or personal ego dialogues or whatever it is. We understand that, yes, compared to other nations, Nigeria was not supposed to be given such hard restrictions on COVID tests and antigen tests and all of that.
Both nations have interests to protect. World Expo 2020 Dubai, which was postponed due to the pandemic, is now 5 months away. Ensuring the safety of all visitors is of importance to the UAE. Nigeria, on the other hand, wishes to be given due accord. After all, it is the UAE's biggest aviation hub. For those Nigerians who now face fines for overstaying in the Emirates for no fault of theirs, perhaps both governments would consider them and reach an agreement to pardon those affected. From Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, Mayowa Adegoke for Channels Television News.
Moving on to other stories, the president is sending his best wishes to all Nigerians and Muslims as they celebrate Eid-el-Fitr to mark the end of the fasting period of Ramadan. In a statement he personally signed, President Muhammadu Buhari prayed that the Eid-el-Fitr festival brings with it unity and solidarity among all citizens, as well as peace, safety, security, brotherhood and love. The president says he believes the occasion should be a reminder to Nigerians the importance of sharing through faith and common bonds that should serve to unite all regions and religions. The statement reads in part, "Unity and solidarity among all citizens, Muslims and Christians are imperative, especially at a time when our country is faced with multiple challenges which are insurmountable only when welcomed together as one. When we come together as one, we should jointly pray against the tragic incidents of kidnapping and banditry and the desperate quest for political power expressed through blackmail against the existence of our country as a united entity." The president further urged Nigerians to continue to observe all COVID-19 prevention measures and celebrate responsibly during the holidays. Meanwhile, the acting Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Kali Baba, has ordered a nationwide deployment of police officers and other operational assets of the force for watertight security ahead of the Eid-el-Fitr celebration and beyond. The IGP's order is part of efforts by the police to stabilize security, improve public safety, and make the country a safer place for everyone. He explains that the nation's security ecosystem is challenged, and the challenges are not insurmountable, as the police force is upscaling its collaboration with the military and other law enforcement agencies in both intelligence sharing and other target-oriented missions and operations. Concerning the fight against COVID-19, the police chief is asking all commissioners of police to ensure full enforcement of the protocols. In part two, after the break, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, challenges Southern governors to act on their resolutions at a meeting in Asaba, the Delta State capital, yesterday. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The Lagos State government hints at possible third wave of COVID-19 pandemic as it scales up in mitigation plans, including a 5-pillar strategy to combat the virus. Lingering dispute between Nigeria and the UAE over COVID-19 flight protocols takes toll on citizens who travel to Dubai for business and other purposes. The president calls for unity and solidarity among Nigerians to tackle insecurity as he felicitates with Muslims on the occasion of Eid-el-Fitr to mark the end of Ramadan. And Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, urges southern state governors to walk the talk on the decisions in Asaba, Delta State. Exchange of fire between Palestinian militants and Israeli military sparked fears of a full-scale war. And more reactions continue to trail the Asaba declarations of the governors of the southern region. This time coming from Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana. Mr. Falana is giving the governors some counsel on how to ensure the resolutions achieve results. He said they will need to engage their northern counterparts, state assemblies and the National Assembly to obtain legal instruments to back their positions. The senior lawyer was guest on our political program, Politics Today.
The governors have done very well. They need to mobilize their northern colleagues. They need to walk their talk. Because if they expect that the presidency will act on these resolutions, I mean, the governors may be wasting their precious time. And what happened today was that the Minister of Information, Alagilai Muhammad, said on behalf of the government, oh, we are not opposed to restructuring. However, we don't want the separation of the country. Was he speaking for the president, for the country, and for the federal government? And that was why the governors are asking the president to address the nation by responding to these fundamental suggestions made to advance the cause of the unity of the country, to ensure that there is security of life and property, and that the welfare of our people will be taken into cognizance in line with the provisions of the Constitution. Each of the state government will have to make enabling laws to translate the decisions in the communique to legal instruments. Now, of course, there are some legal instruments in play. We have the animal diseases law in every state that guides the movement of cattle, trade animals. We have in place the regional, some of the states have enacted the regional security networks. Each of the states in the southwest, for instance, Ekitito, or your state, has enacted the Amotekun core law. In Lagos, you have the neighborhood watch law, and I know now that the northeast zone has always had the JTF, the Joint Task Force, and of course, you have the ISBA, police in the northwest. In the southeast, the governors have just agreed now to set up a regional network called Abube Agu.
Mr. Femi Falana was speaking about the Governors Forum, the governors of southern states who spoke about the security situation in the country yesterday, which they said is the solidarity which they are now getting from the Southern Senators Forum, which commended them for taking a firm position on burning national issues, including banning open grazing of cattle. Although senators submitted that such deft and unanimous policy would help in reining in those hiding under cattle grazing to unleash terror of kidnapping and killings of residents in the region. A statement jointly signed by the SSF Chairman, Secretary General and Publicity Secretary, Senators Okpeyemi Bamidele, Matthew Rogide and Chukwuka Utazi applauded the steps taken by the governors, saying it would serve as a buffer to wanton destruction of farmlands, kidnappings and carnage. The Southern Senators Forum encouraged the governors to swiftly follow up on their resolutions by immediately approaching the leadership of the National Assembly to address it all through the ongoing constitutional review exercise. The Emir of Muri community in Taraba State, Abbas Tafida, is asking the federal government to urgently address the insecurity in the country. He warns that if nothing is done, Nigerians could be forced to resort to self-defense. He made the statement when he received a presidential delegation which paid him a condolence visit over the death of the former Minister of Women Affairs, Hajia Aisha Al-Hassan.
Tana gangan shi wurin shirya fada da wannan munafukan. Abin nan na sharo ko na sha fada an kiji. Ba yadda za a yi ashe wani malami ne ko mai bin wani addini ne yana shi kadai ya dauki pickup guda 1000 ya kai Maiduguri yayi shekara 10 yana fada ina ya sami kudin. Tabbacecce wannan abin nan gwamnati na wasu kasashe ne ke fada da mu a Nigeria. A kuma niyansu. Kuma don Allah Buhari ya yi hakuri ya san gaskiyan ya fito ya fada kawai.
Now, the Christian Association of Nigeria has declared 3 days of national prayer for the country to seek divine intervention concerning the spate of insecurity and violence across states. The Christian body asked churches in the country to comply with a nationwide directive, which begins on Friday, May 28th until Sunday, May 30th. Titled National Days of Soberness and Fervent Prayers for God's Mercy, CAN asks Christians to pray for an end to the continuous killings, banditry, and host of other problems in the country. Part of the prayer points raised by the Christian body is that the plans of evil people to paralyze human, social, and economic activities in the nation, to throw the nation into chaos, be foiled. We're staying with security issues. Gunmen have again attacked the Etimepo area, the area command and division of the Nigeria Police in Akwa Ibom State, killing one police officer. A state police public relations officer, Odiko Macdon, says the armed men attacked the building at about 6:30 a.m. today, but were fought back by police officers on duty. The gunmen then proceeded to Ikad division, where they were yet again repelled, leaving the station intact without loss of life or arms. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Amegeme Andrews, says the situation is under control. The Nigerian Medical Association is lending its voice to the security challenges confronting the country, saying it is largely affecting healthcare delivery. The association therefore wants the federal government to review its strategies at tackling the challenges and in restoring peace. NMA President Professor Innocent Uja presented the communique of the association at its 61st annual general meeting in Jos, the Plateau State capital.
The conference is saddened by the worsening spate of killings, maimings, kidnapping, banditry, arson, insurgency, and other forms of violence with attendant socio-economic consequences in almost all parts of the country. NMA is deeply concerned that the healthcare delivery has been severely affected and therefore called on all citizens of Nigeria to jettison dangerous, unpatriotic tendencies, while urging the federal government to renew its efforts to quickly bring this humanitarian disaster under control. The conference noted with deep concern the epidemiological triple jeopardy of existing infectious diseases, emerging infections including the ongoing pandemic, and the ticking time bomb of the non-communicable diseases. It therefore called on the federal government to lead in mobilizing states and governments to garner the highly needed political will, financial resources, partnership, and requirements to rejig its emergency plans, preparedness, and response to pandemics, appropriate funding for existing health institutions and services, as well as adequate provision of welfare and conducive work environment for doctors and other health workers.
The fight against drug trafficking continues with the latest arrest of a former vice chairman of Lagos Island East Local Council Development Area, Asekun Kehinde Shakiru, by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, for possessing cocaine worth millions of naira. According to the NDLEA, Mr. Asekun has been on its wanted list following the recent arrests of some traffickers and drug seizures linked to him. The agency's operatives finally caught up with him on Friday, May 7th, 2021, while trying to board a Virgin Atlantic flight to London. at the Maritime International Airport in Lagos. He was said to have concealed the banned substance in 5 pairs of palm slippers packed inside a suitcase on his way to London, where he's said to reside. A total sum of 145 million naira was traced to his account and that of his trafficker, one Aziz Ibrahim, who was earlier arrested with 6.45 kilograms of cocaine in December 2020. The account has since been blocked by the NDLEA. Reacting to the arrest, the chairman and chief executive of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, warned drug barons and their traffickers that they will soon be caught if they fail to quit the illegal trade. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Abdul-Rashid Bawa, has been speaking about the commission's efforts at recovering more misappropriated funds. In a recent publication of the Commission's magazine, Mr. Bawa says the EFCC has so far recorded a total of $153 million and 80 houses valued at $80 million from former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Diezani Alison Madueke. He adds that the EFCC is looking forward to the time the former Petroleum Resources Minister will be in the country. Mr. Bawa disclosed that some of the other cases against the former minister include the $115 million INEC bribery, noting that there are still hurdles to cross if the commission is to bring the former minister to justice. When the News at 10 returns, Nigeria Labour Congress directs all affiliate members in Kaduna State to down tools from Sunday, May 16th, 2021. Plus, federal government revenue from company income tax increases by 97 billion naira to 329 billion naira in first quarter of 2021. We'll have more in business news. Jonathan. To politics now. Imo State Governor Hope Uzodimma has announced the dissolution of the state's Executive Council. The State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Declan Emeluba, who briefed journalists after the State Executive Council meeting, said the governor's action is predicated on the need to rejig activities of the state government after a year in office. Out of the 28 commissioners, only 8 will have to continue their work, including commissioners in charge of the Ministries of Health, Information, Tourism, Women Affairs, Works, Finance, Youth and Sports, and Technology. 3 persons have been reportedly killed in a gas explosion at the Igbore area of Abeokuta South local government area of Ogun State, with 4 others sustaining various degrees of injuries. Eyewitnesses say the fire outbreak was caused by a leakage from a refrigerator fluid, which caught fire from a naked fire. The victims, a woman and her daughter, have been buried according to Islamic rites. Terry Kumi has more of the news at 10. He's in Abuja. Hi, Terry.
Hello, Amarachi. Following a directive by the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, asking all civil servants in Kaduna State to prepare for a 5-day strike effective from Sunday, May the 16th, the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, has also asked its members in the state to join the strike. Pengerson said in a statement by its General Secretary that they are joining the strike following a series of alleged anti-labor acts and behaviors of the Kaduna State government on the mass sack of teachers and other civil servants in the state. The union also points to the alleged refusal of the state government to implement the new minimum wage as part of the reasons for joining the strike. The NLC had ordered that the strike begin that the workers begin the industrial action as a warning for the sack of over 4,000 workers in the state. Pengerson says its solidarity with the NLC remains constant. The Nigeria Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, has received a surveillance aircraft for deployment by the Nigerian Air Force in support of the federal government's maritime security effort. The aircraft touched down at the Air Force hangar area of the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos and was received by top officials of NIMASA and the Minister of State for Petroleum, Timipre Silva. The Director General of NIMASA, Bashir Jamo, noted that NIMASA is committed to ensuring the success of the Deep Blue project with adequate cooperation from all stakeholders.
The assignment given to us by the Honorable Minister at the inauguration of the board was one assignment. Go and make sure that you complete the Deep Blue project. And today, we are here to receive the final piece for this project. As you are aware, we have 3 categories of platforms and assets of this project. All of these assets are on ground now. And as you are aware, in February, the President directed that whatever asset we receive, we should deploy those assets to man the special anchorage area, which was cancelled, owned by a private outfit.
Governor Umar Ofintiri of Adamawa State is appealing to his critics to join hands with his administration to improve the state. He was speaking while inspecting some ongoing projects in the state. According to the governor, his administration is committed to providing the much-needed infrastructure that will improve the living standard of the people.
Inadequate road infrastructure is one of the major problems confronting road users in Yola, the Adamawa state capital. The Umar Ofintiri administration is embarking on road construction projects to give relief to motorists and open up communities in the state. Speaking to Channels Television in Yola, some residents expressed delight over these projects introduced by the state government, as they also narrate their experiences in the past.
Honestly, the construction was very good, and it makes the state much beautiful, and it's very, very nice. I want to say our governor is trying. He's a good, indeed, a governor.
The road is very bad, Sha. Very, very bad. The people lament very bad. Those that are passing, even Kekenape, they are not passing by this road at all. But now you can see they are trying on the road very well.
Had it been previous government has been doing something like this state would have been a fantastic place. Definitely what he has done in this on this road, linking from the main road to Bachure, is fantastic.
To ensure quality and quick completion of these projects, Governor Ofintiri, in the company of some government officials, inspects the construction of Bachure Road along Duman Road in Jimeta.
We are ready for our guests to come and commission this project, and for both people in Bachure and environs to enjoy the good road which they have hitherto suffered for years in this community. Very beautiful community, but it was denied infrastructure. They should just come. Let's work together for the interest of our state. I have long time from the day of inauguration invited them to come and join us, because we know that we are going to take Adamawa to the promised land.
According to the governor, his administration is committed to providing the much-needed infrastructure which will improve the living standards of the people, as well as boosting economic activities in the state.
That's all from Abuja. Business News is next with Melinda Akinlami.
Hey, thanks, Terry. Welcome to Business News. A total of 392.77 billion naira was generated as company income tax in the first quarter of this year, up from 32.82% from the figure reported in the fourth quarter of last year. According to the latest numbers from the National Bureau of Statistics, breweries, bottling and beverages industry raised the highest amount of CIT, which is 23.26 billion naira, while textile and garment generated 13.49 million naira. A total of 152.33 billion naira was generated as CIT locally. 184.59 billion naira was remitted as foreign CIT payment, while a balance of 55.85 billion naira was sourced from other payments out of the total amount generated in the first quarter. Settlement inflows to Nigeria recorded a 28% loss in 2020, and that's according to the latest Migration and Development Brief from the World Bank. The report states that remittances to sub-Saharan Africa dipped by 12.5% to $42 billion last year, largely due to Nigeria's influence, which accounts for over 40% of payment flows to the region. However, settlements to low and middle income countries reached $540 billion in 2020, a 1.6% loss from the numbers reported in 2019. Efforts are on to recover the nation's electricity grid. That's after suffering a total collapse at about 11 a.m. today, leading to power outage across the country. According to a statement by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, the recovery process started from Shiroro Generating Station through Delta to Benin Substation. It adds that grid recovery has reached Osogbo to some parts of Lagos, and power supply will be restored soon. The transmission company states that the cause of the collapse is unknown, but is investigating the incident. Some company news now. Airtel Africa says it has recorded a 14.2% growth in revenue to $3.91 billion, and that's in the first quarter of this year across all regions. The telecoms giant explained that revenue in Nigeria grew by 21.9%, while operating profit jumped by 24.2%. Its profit after tax increased by 1.8% and earnings per share was 9 cents, with a final dividend of 2.5 cents per ordinary share for the 2021 financial year. The company adds that its customer base grew by 6.9% with increased penetration across mobile data and mobile money services. However, Airtel says it witnessed a slowdown in customer base growth in Nigeria due to the new SIM registration regulations. Ratings agency S&P Global says the recent changes to the board of FBN Holdings and its subsidiary First Bank of Nigeria by the central bank has addressed corporate governance challenges and ensured the banking sector's financial stability. A statement released by the organization explains that while the recent actions may be disruptive in the near term, it may signal a more direct supervisory approach to alleged failings in the management and governance of regulated institutions. However, S&P hints that the bank's overall credit profile has gradually stabilized since 2016, with a capital adequacy ratio of 17% in 2020 as against a 15% minimum requirement. That's Business News. The news at 10 continues with Amarachi.
Thanks, Melinda. Still ahead on the news at 10, escalating tensions between Palestinian militants and Israeli military spark fears of a full-scale war. Plus, other international news from our London studio. Stay with us. Deadly exchange of fire continues between Israel and Palestinian militants in the Gaza Strip, raising fears this could escalate into full-blown war. More than 1,000 rockets have now been fired by the Palestinian militants in over 38 hours, and most of them have been directed at Tel Aviv. Simon Pusey has more in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The United Nations is fearing a full-scale war as the deadly exchange of fire between Palestinian militants and the Israeli military in the Gaza Strip escalates significantly. This incredible footage shows rockets being fired at Tel Aviv. More than 1,000 were fired by Hamas in 38 hours. Israeli fighter jets also bombed sites belonging to Palestinian armed groups, in addition to security and police buildings. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh said in a televised address that if Israel wants to escalate, the resistance is ready. Gaza's Ministry of Health said the overall death toll since the latest offensive began stood at 43, including 13 children. Almost 300 other people have been wounded. The Taliban have taken control of a district near the Afghan capital, Kabul, a day before a 3-day ceasefire is due to begin. The militants confirmed that they had captured Nurk district in Wardak province in a surprise attack. It is the second district in a week to fall to the Taliban. The country is seeing increased violence as the US and NATO prepare to pull out remaining troops by September the 11th. The Defence Ministry said that it would launch an offensive to gain back the district. An independent panel has concluded that the catastrophic scale of the coronavirus pandemic could have been prevented. The report of the panel, chaired by Helen Clark, former Prime Minister of New Zealand, and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, former President of Liberia, found weak links at every point in the chain. It said preparation was inconsistent and underfunded, the alert system too slow and too meek, while the World Health Organization was underpowered.
This pandemic has shown the importance of multilateralism, global leadership, and whole of society and government approaches. Therefore, we recommend a creation of a Global Health Threats Council at the level of heads of state and government.
A French court has ruled that Air France and Airbus should stand trial over a 2009 crash in the Atlantic Ocean, which killed 228 people. The Paris court overturned a ruling from 2 years ago and backed recommendations from prosecutors that the airline and manufacturer should go to trial for involuntary manslaughter. Flight AF447 from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil to Paris went down on June the 1st in 2009, killing everyone on board. It is the worst crash in Air France's history. Investigators found the crew mishandled loss of speed readings from sensors blocked with ice from a storm and caused the aircraft to stall by holding its nose too high. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has taken the country's oath to officially begin a 6th term in office. He won re-election in a disputed poll in January. Security has been increased in the capital Kampala ahead of his inauguration. Several East African heads of states and from elsewhere in the continent attended the ceremony, including from Tanzania, Kenya, Burundi, South Sudan and Somalia. Troops have also surrounded the home of Bobi Wine, who was the election runner-up. Pope Francis is delighted to resume his weekly general audience with members of the public after 6 months of doing them virtually from inside a Vatican library because of coronavirus restrictions.
Questo incontro, faccia a faccia.
The Pope said, "I am happy to restart this face-to-face meeting again because let me tell you something, it's not nice to talk to nothing with just the camera." Video shows him walking through the San Damaso courtyard, smiling as he greeted people. The limited number of visitors had their temperatures checked as they entered the Vatican, and everyone among the audience wore masks. And finally, a diving champion has become the first woman in the world to successfully complete a dive from a moving hot air balloon.
3, 2, 1.
The Australian Rhiannon Ifland, who has won the Cliff Diving World Series 4 times, decided to undertake the feat after last year's championships were cancelled due to the coronavirus.
An idea that we came up with at the start of last year that seemed a little bit, out of the ordinary.
Moving close to the exact diving spot, the balloon sank down from its 40-metre soaring altitude to the actual diving height of 18 metres, where Ifland dived in New South Wales's Lostock Dam. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Time now for sports news. Here's Ayotunde Balogun.
Many thanks, Marachi. South Africa Football Association SAFA has unveiled Bafana Bafana new head coach Hugo Bruce after signing a 5-year contract to manage the 1996 African champions. Bruce says he will be working with his Belgian assistant and SAFA's technical team. However, he will be missing the Bafana Bafana matches in July and also the Olympics, as he will be going back to Belgium for his second COVID-19 vaccination jab.
So when we are talking about Africa football in Belgium, in Europe, we are thinking about Senegal, we are thinking about Ivory Coast, we are thinking about Nigeria. And then, okay, we are thinking about South Africa, but for us, the big nations are the other countries. And I felt that SAFA wanted to be with them. And this is a huge work to do, but it's also a fantastic experience for me.
In the English Premier League, Chelsea have missed the opportunity to strengthen their place in the top four as Emil Smith-Rowe's second goal gave Arsenal the victory. Now, the victory meant the Gunners completed the double over the Blues to boost their own hopes of ensuring they are playing European football next season. Liverpool FC defender Virgil van Dijk has ruled himself out of the Netherlands squad for next month's European Championships to focus on being fit for the start of the next Premier League season. The influential centre-back has been out of action for 7 months after undergoing surgery on a ruptured ligament in his right knee. He admitted he had been in a bad place at the start of his recovery, but said he now felt more positive after returning to light training. The Netherlands' failure to qualify for Euro Championships in 2016 and the 2018 FIFA World Cup means Van Dijk will be 31 before he can make his major tournament debut, provided they qualify for the 2022 FIFA World Cup finals in Qatar. The Spanish government has confirmed that fans will be allowed to return to some stadiums in the top 2 divisions of Spanish football this weekend. Stadiums in regions currently least affected by COVID-19 will be allowed to host supporters at 30% capacity, with a maximum of 5,000 attending. The government added that fans will have to maintain a distance of 1.5 meters at all times, while their arrival and departure from stadiums will be staggered. The announcement comes less than a month before the start of the Euro Championships, with Spain due to host 4 matches in Seville. UEFA has initiated disciplinary proceedings against Real Madrid, Barcelona and Juventus, the 3 clubs yet to renounce the aborted European Super League project. The European football governing body has appointed disciplinary inspectors to conduct an investigation regarding a potential violation of UEFA rules by the clubs in connection with the so-called Super League project. The maximum punishment under UEFA's disciplinary pathway is a 2-year ban from European competition, while club officials could be banned from any football-related activity. And that's a wrap on sports news. Is back to you, Marachi.
Thanks, Tunde. And the main news again. The Lagos State government today hinted of possible 3rd wave of COVID-19 pandemic as it scales up mitigation plan, including a 5-pillar strategy to combat the virus. The president today called for unity and solidarity among Nigerians to tackle insecurity as he felicitates with Muslims on the occasion of Eid-el-Fitr to mark the end of Ramadan. And Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, today asked southern state governors to walk their talk regarding the decisions reached during their meeting yesterday over the security situation in the country. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night and stay safe.